people, I'm Aaron from Laststandgamers, and welcome. So we've had some more footage submitted by Murloc Joe. This is what I would call a bit of a grudge match. Earlier this week or the week before, his base was raided and destroyed, and he wants some revenge. That's why he's gone equipped with his gravity bombs, and this time, instead of fighting alone, he's brought a bit of his factions back up. He's brought a bit of DBS to support him. He's hitting the ships down in the hangars before they get a chance to actually take off. The players on the ground are scrambling to get their ships in the air. One of the first ships starts to launch and he doesn't know which target to choose. His engines and his systems are still booting up. He's trying to get some rocket fire out. Now, we've seen these Dorito style ships before and they can pack quite a hit on the enemy. They're well defended, well armored, and when them rockets are coming towards you, you can be in trouble quite quickly. Now, DBS here is coordinating with Murloc Joe, trying to bring the fight to the enemy as much as possible, sort of splitting their fire. You can also see that they're launching a fighter and a secondary Dorito. Now, I know in the other Dorito ship on the left that's coming up into the action now is piloted by Nano, and he is the one that Murloc has the grudge against, and he's going to take some serious beatings. Now, you'll watch the chat on the side throughout this fight, and it does get salty, but that is just the nature of space engineers. People spend time building, and when they get things destroyed, they get upset, they get emotional. The amount of snow on this planet could be replaced with the amount of salt that I see sometimes going about. So as the ships are launching into the air, now Nano is on Murloc Joe's sort of tail. Now, what I've seen a lot of space engineers fights is both players are trying to fight for altitude. By being above the player, they can pretty much cruise round, get their rockets on target. So you can see that Nano looks like he's struggling for control of the ship at the current moment in time. Gatling guns are firing, but he isn't really returning much accurate fire. Now, this could be for many reasons. It could be because the ship isn't simply fueled well enough. It wasn't prepared to actually fight. So you can see it starts to drop out of the sky. Is this the end of that Dorito? No. It looks like he's managed to get it stabilized, add some thrust to them rear thrusters. Something's going right in there. Maybe the tanks are on recharge. And now he's coming back up into the sky. The only issue is Murloc is still got the high ground and he's firing down into Nano. Nano's taking some serious hits and he is out of action in the Dorito ship. He's still got a lot of other ships to fight with, but you can see he's just struggling, fighting for control with that. It'd be nice to know in the comment section if he sees this video of exactly what the problem was or what was going on with that ship at the time. So he seems to fall down to the ground. They've got some fighters going up that are trying to target some of the DBS members that are working with Murloc, but there's quite a fight going on his hands. Murloc once again breaks away and tries to use gravity bombs. This is a tactic we've seen from him time and time again. He'll break the fight, choose when he wants to fight, and then try to drop the bombs. His rear end was getting shot up a little bit by these little fighters. These guys I've seen all over the server, and they cause some serious trouble. You can see that they've got little targeting beacons, they're little pods on the end of their wings that distract turret fire. So as he rotates and spins the ship, it'll distract Gatling gun fire away from the main body, keeping him alive for longer. And this sort of maneuvement is keeping Murloc on his toes. The other ship in the background you can see is chasing Nano down. And with a little bit of distracting between the two ships, they're doing a lot of damage between them. But Murloc decides once again he needs to get out of there. He needs to keep this distance. He cannot win a fight head on. And in most battles, if you do that sort of thing where you try to fight to the death head on, you will lose the battle. More rockets are coming in. You can see that little ship up in the top left that is now starting to pincer them between them. So Nano is working that out. You can see that he's taking damage to his rear thrusters, and any second he's going to break off in his Dorito ship to the left. This main fighter is purely focusing now on Murloc. It's trying to do as much damage as possible. The rockets are coming in from Nano, but there really isn't enough damage. Murloc's just keeping them at bay, just out of rocket range, so he can pick off one at a time. You can see the rockets screaming over, just out of range, and you can see the other DBS ship sneaking around the back, trying to get some fire on him. Now, with Nano's attention distracted, Murloc is focusing on the fighter until it is destroyed and it's out of there. Of course, with all this fighting, it's taking them away from the base. This is going to give him some time to repair them little rocket bombs that he stores underneath his ship and drop some more on him. Now, with this battle all going on, the base below is starting to become more and more of a pothole mess. The players down there really need to launch as many ships as possible, get them in the air or move them away from the base if possible, as the bombs go in and destroy the hangars. Luckily, the hangars are quite hardened, and because of that, they're protecting the fighters inside. The only issue is Murloc is starting to get a bit more attention as he's doing this. Nano has launched his second ship now into the air, and he's fighting another one of the DBS sort of, I have to call it a mini defender. It works on the same premise of rotating with beacons at either end. And you can see the DBS member is drawing him away from the turrets, and Murloc Joe is then striking him in the rear. With some of these ship designs, it's a little bit like a tank. The front is very well armoured, very well protected, and they've got all the firepower at the front. And then at the rear, with them thrusters, if you start ticking them away, especially if they're connected to hydrogen tanks, you can end up with a large explosion and destroy the ship completely. So that's exactly what Murloc's doing here. He's starting to tick away at them thrusters at the rear so he loses propulsion. And there we go. That's the right thruster offline. There's still a lot of juice in that thing though, so he's going to be pretty fine. And the rocket firepower that's going into the front of the other ship is causing some serious damage to it as well. At this rate, that ship might not be able to keep up with the volley of rockets. But a few more blows from Murloc from the rear, and this ship is almost crippled. The thrusters are going down, and once he starts to impact the hydrogen tanks, there we go, hydrogen tanks have been destroyed. His systems are offline. This is one of my favourite things about having hydrogen ships only. Hydrogen tanks are such a weak spot, and players really have to think when they're starting to protect them. Now they've launched another ship from the base, and I understand why they're doing this. Some of these ships aren't fully prepared, and you can tell that this rocket is not ready. It's either the rockets in the actual nose are not firing, nothing's happening from it, but they're just trying to distract them, buy themselves time so they can launch more fighters and move things away from the base if they need to. Now this rocket here actually deploys, and I was quite excited about this. I wasn't sure if there was decoy blocks or something going on in this nose, or there were warheads, but you can see these little pods pop off. I don't know if it's an attempt to bomb something or it's an attempt to distract the turrets, but still a really cool design overall. The only letdown here is there is no missiles actually coming out the front of that ship. It's pretty much defenseless and just being a distraction for Murloc while the rest of the base is bought some time. As he shreds through this design, the hydrogen tanks are in the centre, and you can see he starts to cut the little wing pods off with the decoys, and he starts to focus his fire down on the centre, slowly working his way through. The player in there is still doing something. I'm not sure on his plan. I don't think anyone is at the moment. Missiles are slowly going in. He's not got too many missile launchers left, but he's causing some serious damage to that rocket. But the rocket's doing its job. It's trying to get as close as possible, perhaps, to detonate some sort of payload inside, and it is gaining on Murloc ever so slowly. That is something I'd get really worried about. Now, as you can see, the parts are falling off the rocket. The ammunition is running even lower on Murloc. He's going to have to go and refuel, rearm sometime. And you can see the missile itself is draining its health. It won't be long before that falls out the sky. The player in there is going to have to make one last ditch attempt. He's going to have to decide if he's going to try to blow it early, maybe catch Murloc in the blast. I'm not too sure, but you can see the little bit of blaster fire that's going down from the Gatling guns is causing a lot of damage, causing him to lose propulsion. And in this case, he thinks he's close enough. Could he detonate the warhead right now and blow up Murloc? Let's see. No, a little bit late on the detonation, possibly due to sim speed. Oh, that was close. Murloc returns home. He's refueling up, and his vendetta is almost settled. What he wants to do now is just bomb the place into oblivion. And some say he gets the name Fat Finger Joe because of his missiles that look like fingers falling from the sky. Others say he gets the name Fat Finger Joe because at the end of this battle, he presses F and falls out of the cockpit. But anyhow, this was a nice little fight. They tried hard to defend the base against some really determined attackers. They lost a few ships on the way, but they also caused a lot of damage to the DBS fleet that I do respect a lot. A good battle in Space Engineers and a saltless PvP. Who knows, maybe one day that can happen. But for now, Murloc Joe will continue his bombing rampage.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I clicked. I was gonna leave my camera view, yeah? And I left my I left my cockpit. My camera was destroyed and I pressed F. Let's see if I can respawn. I didn't save it.